to Tuesday night Thriving Together with NLP practice session, and it's the 25th of May. And we're going to be covering tonight the submodality technique called Swish pattern, which we don't always get a chance nowadays to teach on the online practitioner courses, but it does get taught in the master prac. But I thought it's for useful one to go into tonight. Show you how it works. We often talk about it on the practitioner, and we're mid-practitioner course at the moment, and some of you are here on that course. So I thought, well, why not? It's pretty straightforward and definitely life-changing. So let's do that. And for those of you who wanted to do the belief change, submodality belief change, then Jess has reliably informed me I've already recorded it twice over the last year or so. So I'll dig those recordings out and see which one's best and put that up we'll put it up on YouTube, because Zoom is occasionally deleting some of our stuff now. So we'll do that on YouTube so it's easy for you. But Swish is a really good one to do. It's very usable, very powerful, very amazing. And once you start to understand your NLP skills, like how we do the process of thinking and how we structure behaviors, then you're just thinking, blimey, it's so easy, really, when you know the actual fundamentals of what happens when they have a habit and then what to do differently to stop the habit from happening. It's like, oh, why don't we do this years ago? Well, it's been around since late 70s. And for those of you who are interested, the original book is How to Use Your Brain for a Change by Richard Bandler. That's where the original concept of Swish was introduced to the public. And let's have a look when that book was put out. Tea stains all over it. 1985. Okay. 1985 it is then. So that's where it was originally. If you're interested in the root cause, the original origins of these particular techniques, then that's where to find it, using your brain for a change. So yeah, what I want to do to teach you today is, knowing that all of you have gone through at least what submodalities are, and you've all pretty much gone through the like to dislike technique, how to change your food, how you feel about a particular food. Is anyone still noticing the benefits of those things, just forgetting to have those problems? Good. It's a really useful one to do. This Swish pattern is a submodality technique, but it's using images. We use images for the like to dislike, but this is all about interrupting habits. So it's like it's a technique that redirectionalizes unwanted behaviors. That's the technical version of it, if you like. So what we'll do is I'll give you an idea of how a sort of behavior will work. First of all, we'll look at why you might want to use a Swish, what sort of things might kick in your life that could be done in a much more useful way for you. And then I'll run through the script, teach it, run through the script. If we get a chance, then we'll have a go at practicing if we get enough time. See how it goes. If I start rabbiting on, we might get something done. All right. So the sorts of things you might want to use a Swish pattern for, some of those annoying habits that you might have, right? We've all got some. So, and then they've kicked in a little bit more nowadays because of tech, and anything that's habitual is a practiced behavior. So things like phones and laptops and all sorts of tech like that can become part of our day-to-day, to the point where they can become almost like addictive or habitual in ways which might be kind of counteractive to our processes of going through the day, like getting to sleep effectively. For example, if you keep checking your phone before you go to sleep, that's not great. Well, the first thing you do when you wake up is check your phone. Well, there's probably better ways of starting the day, right? Or checking the news, even worse. Let's start out depressing yourself before you even start. So ideally, you wake up in the morning, you spring out of bed, you think about your outcomes for the day, and bosh, you get into it. But if you pick up your phone up and look at the BBC News and make yourself unhappy, then there's better ways of doing that. Or even worse than that, if you snooze, hit the snooze button. How many snoozes have we got in the room? No, you're pretty good with that, Louise, eh? Ronald and Satu will put their hands in the air. Yeah, a lot of us are snoozers. Now, there could well be lots of other stuff going on there, like you're disempowered with what you're doing for your job, or you just wake up and you've got nothing much to look forward to because you're not setting outcomes and all that sort of stuff. But it's an unhelpful habit. And I was listening to Mel Robbins' TED Talk this morning about 5-second rule. It's always a really nice one to go back to, where she talks about if all you could do at the end of her talk is to the following day get up half an hour earlier and just spring out of bed, rather than lots of people tend to put the snooze button on. It's kind of unhelpful. And it releases sleepy chemicals back into your body, and it just doesn't do your day much good. So if you are a snoozer, this is a really good technique for that, and you'd rather not be, then we can swish that behavior out of you in no time at all. All right, which is a great thing. Other people check their phones way too much. You feel the need to scroll. Don't feel guilty if you do these things. It's okay. You feel the need to scroll on Facebook or Instagram, or check your emails or something or other. That might be inappropriate because you're around little ones, which doesn't send a good message. Or lots of people check it when they're in their car and they're driving, and it's no judgment, but people do that. Or before you go to bed at night, and you've got the screen light, which isn't healthy for you when you go to sleep either. Lots of different things where that might be unhelpful. What else we got? Somebody who won't be not mentioned can occasionally leave coffee cups in the car, and forget to take them out, or forget can't be bothered sometimes. I'm over it now, but I used to leave them in there until one time I left one in there through a really hot period in the summer, and you can imagine what a little bit of milk in the bottom of a coffee cup does after a few 35 degree days. So that's a problem. What else we got? Not responding to people's text messages. Anyone guilty of that? You get so many messages nowadays, and then you forget to get back to people. Some people are guilty of that. That's something you could swish out. Going to the naughty cupboard in the kitchen, or wherever your naughty cupboard is, without really thinking too much about it, or coming in from work and finding yourself stood next to the fridge or in the fridge with your hand on something that maybe would be more useful not to do that. And also stuff like smoking or anything that's addictive in a behavior like that. We can swish those things out. Or, occasionally I get up from my desk after a training session or a coaching session, and there's bits of paper lying about. I used to just, I'm tired, I'll do it later. And I switched in, clean desk, feeling good about myself, and that doesn't happen anymore most of the time. So it really depends on what sort of stuff you've got going on, or your clients have got going on, where they're doing behaviors unconsciously that they know they're doing after it's happened, that is kind of in the way of them having the kind of life they want to have. So this is what this is for. And like I said, it's redirectionalizing those behaviors. And because we understand submodalities, can anyone remember what submodalities are? What do we describe them as? There's a test for you. Submodalities are the fine distinctions.
Building blocks of the modalities.
Good. Yes.
I read that earlier. To remind myself.
Good. They are. Yeah, you could say that. The building blocks. They're the finer distinctions is the word we use, of our senses, or our modalities. So the sub-modalities are the elements that make up the visual system. So black and white or color, near or far, bright or dim. The different kind of elements of it that can create, a packed full of emotion picture, if you like. Yeah, so then when we change them, the way any picture is structured creates the meaning, right? That it's coded in a certain way to make you feel a certain way, right? So we can play around with that. And this time around, rather than changing the submodalities of the behavior, the habit, we're going to introduce new pictures, but much more empowering pictures. Okay. Hello, Amy Roxon.
Hello, Nick Green. How are you?
How was Pilates?
Well, no, it's off until next month. There was a sort of a vigil, because of today. So there was I'll just join back.
It's nice to have you here anyway. Good to have you here.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here.
Good. All right. So let's think of the best way of teaching you this. I haven't got my iPad with me. Well, see if we can.
While you're thinking about that, may I ask a quick question, please, Nick?
Yeah.
May I please ask, if from memory, is the Swish pattern sort of an alternative to submodalities? Because the submodality belief change and what have you, I mean, they're quite lengthy or a little bit interesting.
Yeah.
So is this an alternative from memory? Because I remember there was a process which you could do if you wanted to do an alternative, and I think this was it.
What we do, if we use it to back up, we use the Swish to back up sometimes the like to dislike.
Yeah.
Because the Swish is about behaviors.
Yeah.
So we call them highly contextualized behaviors, so specific behaviors that you do. Whereas changing the beliefs is a different thing. It's a belief that could create a behavior, but it's more about something. It's not a behavior, it's a belief. So that's more of a switch, a replacement of a limiting belief with a new empowering belief. This is switching a negative behavior with a more empowering behavior. So that's kind of difference. It's a behavioral based one rather than a belief based. But saying that, if you've done a like to dislike technique with someone on chocolate, for example, and their chocolate is usually in the same kind of place in the house, then we would deal with how they feel about the chocolate and then back that up with a Swish pattern, so that if they even looked at the naughty cupboard door, they would naturally, without thinking about it, go off and do something different. They wouldn't even move towards the door, and that would just be unconscious. So that might be what we talked about before, unless Jess has got something amazing that she talks about that I'm not aware of. Maybe. And we also,
I'm sure you're aligned. Thank you.
There's also an element of this we do in one of the master prep techniques where you do Swish as part of the chaining anchors. For the life of me, I can't remember what that one is, but that's a whole different level. So don't worry about that for now. All right. Oh, hi, Susan. How you doing? You okay?
Yes, good, thank you. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Yeah, 2 kids. They're both not.
Say no more. It's all good. All right. It's good to have you here. Now, what's the trying to think the best way of teaching this without my iPad or my slides? Because my setup here is a bit of a mishmash and it goes pear-shaped if I try and share slides.
Have we all got the book? Have we all got the page of the book? And
then sorry, yeah, it's on page 52.
Yeah, so maybe we can sort of read along while you talk. Perhaps.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see if I can do it on the slideshow. Not slideshow. This is the whiteboard. There we go. Let's try that. No, it's not having that either. All right.
But I mean, if we've got the books, you don't need to share it. We can just follow locally.
Yeah, I was just going to demonstrate a series of pictures together. It doesn't really matter. We can do that. We can do that amongst ourselves. So, all right. So, thanks, Amy. Appreciate it. What a behavior is, right? When you think about when you learn a new behavior, you learn it in steps, pretty much. When you learn how to do something new. So, if it's learning how to clean your teeth, for example, or as a child, there's just basic steps that link together. So first you do this, and you get a picture in your head of it, right? And then you do this, then you do this, then you do that, and then you're done, right? So it's the sort of thing I'm running through all the time with Rocky, trying to teach him basic things like that. And that's all it is. There's a specific focus on particular important elements of that, and eventually those will get linked together and they will become a behavior, right? That's pretty straightforward. And all that becomes inside your map of the world. Obviously, repetition creates the behavior to be unconscious, automatic. All that the person references when they're doing an unconscious behavior is those basic sets of pictures. Now, if you imagine that somebody's doing something unhelpful, for example, if somebody was making a cup of tea and they decided not to have sugar anymore, they might, and they've been having sugar their whole life, they might instinctively just go to, or naturally go to put a sugar in when they're trying not to, for example. So if that keeps happening, oh, flipping heck, and I've got to tip it away, and it's just a bit of a faff, then there will be a point where the behavior was going properly, and then it went wrong, right? There was a moment where they looked at the sugar jar and went to get some sugar out, for example, and then put it in. So just before that unhelpful piece of the strategy is introduced, just before they make that picture, if we can stop it there by eliciting the pictures that happen in the process, then we can then introduce a lovely new empowering picture that will redirectionalize that particular behavior. Okay, so trying to think of another example really, which is more usable, but that we'll stick with that one for now. So imagine, so what's the first thing, if you think about, right, I want a cup of tea, what's the first thing that happens in your mind if you can start to consciously be aware of that?
Boil the kettle.
What happens even before then?
Get the impulse to boil the kettle.
Yeah, where does that come from?
The need for tea.
To do with your throat or wanting a drink? Is it something to do with?
Yeah, so
it kicks in that you need a drink. I don't know.
Yeah, so preceding that might be
Thirsty.
I'm thirsty, yeah. But then once you decide what drink you want, if it's a cup of tea, then you'll get an image in your mind of a cup of tea, right? However that is for you, whatever your representation is of that. So that'll be the first step in the process. Oh, want a cup of tea? And in my head, I see a pretty big mug with a fairly dark colored cup of tea in it, and pretty much all that's there, right? So however you do it will be the first step in the process. What might you see next in your strategy? Well, that's difficult, but just for example.
The cupboard door.
Yeah. Yeah, you might see the cupboard door. Yeah. What's next?
Reaching to the cupboard door.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going quite slowly. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. That's fine. That's probably how you would do it. Yeah. But just to chunk it ahead a little bit more, what might you see next? So you've got a cup. Say you've got a cup on the work surface. What's next?
Tea bag is in it and the water is pouring on top.
Right, tea bag in it. So tea bag maybe in an empty cup. And then the next thing you see the kettle pouring in already. Yeah. What might be next? What do you need to do next when you've poured the water into the kettle?
The tea bag.
Right. Yeah. Get the tea bag out maybe when it's at your right color. Yeah. And then what? Put the milk in. And then whatever you do after that, wait a minute, move it, and then drink it. So we've all got different versions of what that is in our head, very subtly different. The submodalities, each of those pictures will be different, but they all link together in steps to create that behavior. So, well, that's one thing I have to do for Jess. She wants 2 tea bags in. If it's weak, she gets annoyed. So having to remember to put 2 tea bags in for her when I'm making a cup of tea and just 1 in for me. That was a new introduction I needed to make for me. And quite often I would still, carry on as it was before and make it not so strong, which wasn't what she wanted. Therefore, it's a bit of a useless task. So there will be a time when I'd have to reintroduce seeing 3 tea bags come out of the pot, 1 into 1 cup and 2 into the other, right? So at some point I was doing it wrong. And then with all sorts of different behaviors you guys have got going, if you've got problem challenging ones, then as that strategy plays through, if that behavior is going wrong or you're not doing something you want to do, then we need to just hone in and focus in on that point of no return, that problem moment. Because if you do that step, the wrong thing happens. So we want to add in that moment a lovely new picture. And weirdly enough, that picture doesn't have to be anything to do with the actual process of making a cup of tea, for example. It will just be the best version of yourself with the benefits of not doing the old behavior anymore, if you like. So for example, if someone was going to the naughty cupboard every day, and I wouldn't really know what that sort of behavior was like at all, surely. But if they were, then that might be causing them, to be, sluggish in their energy because of the sugar ups and downs, and they might be carrying a bit too much weight for their liking, whatever it might be, or spending too much money on sweets or whatever, or bad role modeling, whatever it might be. So if I was going to get to the point where I think, oh, could do with a snack, I go into the kitchen, I see the cupboard door, what the next step would be problematic. So the next step might be walking to the door and opening the cupboard door, right? And then it's game over usually. So it might be more useful to get to the point where I think, oh, I fancy something sweet, look at the door, and then swish in a new picture of the best version of me in any kind of context you can think of, where that behavior isn't a problem anymore. So for example, if it was one of my outcomes was to get really fit and healthy, I might see myself on holiday in some swim shorts, just feeling really good about my body, feeling really fit and healthy. So weirdly enough, to interrupt an unhelpful behavior, you get to that point of no return, the unconscious behavior is expecting the next step that would lead into that unhelpful behavior, and then straight away you swish in this new picture of a completely different outcome, if you like. And that's all you need to do to stop doing that behavior. It doesn't have to be context specific, although that can work as well. It's much easier just think, right, what would my life be like without this problem? How would I look? And then use that as a nice image instead. And then that, either way, that strategy can't run anymore, because it goes to the picture, right? Yeah, I know what to do here. I know what to do here. And then, oh, and it stops. I can't do that anymore. And without being consciously aware of it, you just go off and do something else. That's what I love about NLP, is you don't have to think about it. It just stops happening. Stay with me so far. Good. I haven't got my normal markers to show me how I'm doing this properly, but it feels like about right. So that's all it is. Picture, 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 or picture, 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 picture. Oh, result. We're different. That's all we need to do. So let's try and have a little practice of that, see where people might go wrong. So who's got a particular issue they think of that is maybe a bit of a problem for them? Bear in mind we're recording this. Is anyone snoozing or naughty cupboard or checking their phone too much? Or
mine's chocolate. I don't mind being a volunteer if nobody else does. So.
Okay, So thanks, Susan. What's the behaviour then?
So what am I doing? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the behaviour?
I am definitely eating too much chocolate. So,
okay. And when does that become a problem for you? How do you know it's time to eat some chocolate?
So is this what am I doing? So like the fridge, or is it just the thought?
Yeah, when you do the behaviour, just run me through what tends to happen when is there a certain place you go to, or do you dash out to the shops, or do you have some already?
No, I have it in. It's in the house, which is probably the worst thing. But yeah, I think I have two places, the fridge and a cupboard. And it's obviously where some of the kids' stuff is and where the Easter eggs are. So
right, okay. Cool. So tell me what happens. So you see them and they're in the cupboard, for example, and then
yeah. I just feel low on energy. So I find myself when I'm in the kitchen near those cupboards and I feel that low on energy, that's what I connect it to and I go and get some.
Okay, so if you're feeling low on energy near the cupboard, then you open the door, pick some chocolate out, and you're off and running. Okay.
And then it tastes really nice, and then I go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that one. All right. So if you were to think about where was the moment where the behavior goes wrong, and you do what you don't really want to do sometimes? Is it when you see, is it usually in the cupboard, you say? Whereabouts is it normally?
Yes, yeah, we'll say the cupboard, yeah.
If you were to go and do it now, where would you head to? Where would you go?
To the cupboard.
Okay, so it's cupboard, yeah, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So where does the problem start then? Is it you're going about your day and you feel the need to have a bit of sugar, and then you go into the kitchen?
Yes, but I could already be in the kitchen, to be honest. So I could be in the kitchen making a drink and then I go, oh.
Yeah, okay, so
yeah.
And then what's next? You have to look at the cupboard. Remember where that is?
Look at the cupboard and then I open it.
Okay, great. So is it fair to say the point of no return might be when you look at the cupboard?
Yes, because I think if I was to open it, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the cupboard.
Right, great. And when you think about that behavior, do you get a picture in your mind?
Yes, the cupboard.
Good. And that will be seeing it through your own eyes, right?
Yes.
Good. And that's what we call associated, right? Everyone, remember? Good. So that's an associated picture. Susan looking at her naughty cupboard, whatever you call it, kitchen cupboard. And then from that point on, if you were to continue the next steps, then that would lead to you having the chocolate. And maybe there could be a load of other ways of getting yourself a bit more energy.
Yeah.
There's times where you want to have it, there's times where you don't, whatever. But it depends on your outcomes. So if we were to interrupt, let's see if I can do a bit of a drawing here. So if this is this is what a strategy is, right? So if those of you doing master prac, you'll do a strategy soon, at some point. A strategy or a habit or a behavior is just a series of internal representations linked together. That's all it is in your head. So whatever picture this might be, and then the next one, and the next one, and then Susan's one is this one here, just before that jagged line I've put down there. This is going to be the point of no return. This is going to be the seeing the cupboard door. All right, and that's always going to be an associated picture, because that's how you see yourself, how you see your surroundings, if you like. So if that's the problem behavior, we don't want the next one to run, because that equals bad. So we want to swish in a new picture, and really quickly. And if we do that fast enough a few times over, that kind of replicates the standardized version of changing a behavior, which is trying to do something differently each time, like once a day for 30 days, for example. We just do the swish. You very quickly reintroduce a new picture, present it to your unconscious mind, one after the other. 1, 2, 3, swish. Open your eyes, close your eyes. 1, 2, 3, swish. And you do 6 of those minimum, and then sometimes up to 20. And what that does is that stops this picture being useful anymore. It goes kind of grey and you're unable to get it back. And what appears then is this new one. And your behavior just stops, it changes. And you'll naturally make choices. Your unconscious mind always knows what's best for you. So it will naturally make choices in a different direction for you that will be helping you to move towards that outcome. Okay.
Sorry, Nick. What was the last frame that we're trying to avoid in your flow diagram?
Well, that will be the next step that would lead to the unhelpful behavior. So Susan was saying when she sees the door in the kitchen with the chocolate behind it, the next step would be opening the door and then
you're in it.
The chocolate, if you like. If we went past that, then what the problem is, you just introduce just unnecessary behavior, right? So if we got all the way to the point where Susan still opened the door and then reached in and stopped, you're still going to the door, open the door, reaching in, and then you pull away again and you'll go off and do something else. So it's unnecessary. And what we find is when we do this on the courses, most noticeable when we're face-to-face courses, a lot of the time people want to stop chewing their nails, which is one I forgot to mention originally. It's one of the classics for stopping chewing your nails. And if I let people go off and do the stuff when they're not 100% clear on the point of no return, rather than the moment, does anyone bite their nails or historically bitten their nails? There's normally a snag, like a snaggy bit on the nail that causes you want to go, ooh. And then once you find it, you go and try and smooth it out. And that ends up being picking or biting. That's the point of no return, is feeling the snag, right? The next bit might be to bring your hand up and then start chewing. So you imagine when people get the point of no return not quite right, what you end up seeing is these unconscious behaviors of people going like this and then putting their hand away again. They don't do any chewing, but they're just doing this and they put their hand away. And it happens every, 2 or 3 minutes. They're not chewing their nails anymore, but there's all this unhelpful behavior because people just keep doing this all the time. And I'm going to them, you're right. And they go, But they're just not aware of that they're still doing that behavior. By the end of the week, they'll have lovely nails, but they'll still be doing all this. And there's more chance of that old behavior kicking back in again. So we want to get the point of no return right. Otherwise, that unhelpful, needless behavior still keeps happening. All right. Another time I did it on my very, very first NLP course. I don't have a clue what I was doing. I really didn't. And I thought, well, this is a lot of old weird stuff. But I helped a guy. He said, when he gets stressed, certainly at work, he gets stressed, stands up and goes for a cigarette. So we swished in him didn't swish in him getting stressed. He recognized when he got stressed, we swished in him standing up and checking his phone instead, which was for him a better option. What I didn't pay attention to was the point of no return. And we did a good job, but he would still stand up. Got his phone out and he took one step to the right with his leg and then stood still again. It was quite hilarious, really. So yes, he would check his phone instead. He would stand still. So he would get up and check his phone instead of going for a cigarette. But he had this weird one step to the right and then step back movement and stood still and checked his phone, which isn't very ecological. It's not. People would probably laugh at him, for doing that. What are you doing? He didn't realize he was doing it. So we just had to go back, rein it back in a little bit, get the right point of no return picture, and then do the swish again. All right. So that's kind of the art. NLP is a science, an art and a science. The artwork is getting these things to be as specific as we can, and that just takes practice. Okay. So, do you see what I mean, Ronald, about Susan's example? Yeah, you're doing stuff you don't need to do anymore. So we get the point of no return, swish in a new picture. And what that means is we will have, once we get the point of no return picture ready in our minds, so we've figured out what that is, we'll also have a new picture that the unconscious mind is going to then respond to, which will be our desired outcome. And then we have an imaginary screen in our mind where we put the trigger picture up, the point of no return picture up on this imaginary screen in our life. We'll see in that through our own eyes. I'll run through the script, don't worry. And then on top of that one, we quickly sort of superimpose the new desired state. All right. And then we shrink that down into the lower left-hand corner. So what's left on the screen is that old trigger picture. Fizzing away full of energy in the lower left-hand corner is the new desired state. And what we want to do is replace that. And we swish it in. We go 1, 2, 3, swish. And that new desired state picture completely covers up the old one. And then you open your eyes, come back to the room, and just keep repeating that process. So what tends to happen then is the picture behind it gradually gets faded, submodalities diminish, and it can't be recalled anymore. And all you get then is this new response to this new picture. So that's the bit that the swish is. It's 1, 2, 3, swish. And we do that with our hands. And it helps people to reintroduce that new picture and cover up the old one. So let me run through the script with you, just so you've got a rough idea of what's going on. Any questions so far?
I have a question.
Oh yeah, go for it.
I switched microphone, now it works actually. So during our practitioner training, we got a Swish demonstration without being told before what it was. And then for 2 weeks, I actually got up without snoozing and without checking my phone and all of that. But then it disappeared again.
Okay.
And now I'm getting up right before I have to start working again. And so what happened?
So what just happens is you need to go back and do it, re-embed it again. Do you remember what the pictures are? Can you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably.
Yeah, so you just go back and run it through again. That's the beauty of it. If for any reason the old behaviors do kick in, most people remember the pictures they used in the Swish. So I could just go back and embed it. Was it working for you?
It was working in the sense of I was getting up way earlier and with a lot of energy, and that never happened. So I didn't know what to do with the energy. Kind of.
Right. Okay. So you needed to do something with that. But the actual
because I was awake, and usually I just go bed, computer.
Right.
And then I actually had to fill the time in between, and I didn't know what with.
Oh, okay. So you left yourself a bit of a void. You got a bit confused.
Yeah.
Okay.
Basically.
Yeah. When you start introducing like a void into your routine, it's nice to chuck something in there, like a bit of meditation or setting your outcomes or something nice. But if there wasn't anything there, it's unhelpful. So, okay. So yeah, I'd suggest that you remember the pictures, go back, enhance your desired picture, and then just go over it again.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of you might have done a identity upgrade with Jess on some of the courses we do. Even maybe with me, we occasionally do an identity upgrade, which is a Swish pattern, where you see.
That's what I
did. Did you?
I was just going to say I didn't know what. I think we did it at the end of one of the days.
Right.
So I don't feel like I fully got what that was about.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have just done it.
We were racing through it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's another really useful thing to do. So at the end of your courses, if you've done you've learned loads of new skills, and there's another element to you as a human being, you're a practitioner now, then we could swish in. That's really nice and easy, actually. The first thing you saw when you came in the room that morning, or the first thing you saw whatever day you're doing the Swish on yourself, that's your trigger picture. And then the new version of you with your new skills and all your knowledge and your experience, and that will be the desired state picture. And you just swish those two over. So we can give you a demonstration of that, or like a lesson plan of that, if you like. It's the same process.
I've been mulling something over in my head, and I think I've got the answer myself. But what I was mulling was, if what I'm wanting to change is to get in a habit of going to the gym before work.
Yeah, good one.
What then happens if I succeed in doing that, but then, for example, I get a shin splint? And so therefore going to the gym each day before work is actually not right for me to do. And I've been mulling that over, thinking, do I then sabotage the benefits of doing the swish? But I think what I've concluded is that actually it's not necessarily the going to the gym, it's the obstruction, it's the behavior that obstructs me from creating the time in the morning to go to the gym. So then if I get a shin splint, it doesn't actually make a difference. It's about stopping the behavior that prevents me from getting out of bed to get going.
Right.
And then whatever then I use my time for, it doesn't actually matter. The point is I've stopped the behavior that keeps me faffing.
Right,
Is
okay.
that right?
Yeah, so if you want to create that opening for yourself with the swish pattern, then that gives you the chance to go to the gym if you want to, which could be, you could do another swish for that if you wanted, but then you can either do the behavior or not do it. At least you've carved yourself out the time for it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if you've injured yourself, it won't force you out the door for sure. It will
Yeah.
just, you make the right choice then.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not about going to the gym or not. It's about creating the time for that in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Good. Yeah, and that's a really useful one that a lot of people do, is either creating time in the morning to go to the gym or in the evening. And lots of people even get to the point where they're so organized, they even put a gym bag with all the shoes and everything right next to the front door. So they come home from work, and then in those old days, and then they would sort of see the gym bag, like, right, I'm going to the gym, see the gym bag, see the door, and think to themselves, I'll just have a quick cup of tea. I'll just quickly scroll on Facebook for a minute and then I'll go. Yeah. And then you've redirected the behavior. It doesn't often go very well. You know, once you put something off.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins calls it putting the snooze button on, didn't she? Snoozing your behavior. So if you were to see the gym bag and then the next thing is seeing the door, that will be your point of no return. And then you swish in a picture of you feeling wonderful about your body and feeling all the benefits of going to the gym in any context in the world ever. That would be a nice one to introduce then. So you see the door, flish on this lovely new picture, and then you're more likely to move towards that behavior than away from it. So that's a really good one. If you know you need to do stuff that you're not doing. Yes, try the 5-second rule or 3-second rule or 7-second rule, whichever one you subscribe to, and just plow yourself through it and use your courage and your determination. But if that's not working and you're really tired, but you know that going to the gym is going to energize you, then the swish is really good for that. Okay, that's a good question, Carol. We want to get it right. But if you don't get it right, what do?
Try again.
That's it. Keep going until you get your outcome. Change your approach. Keep going until you get your outcome. All right, so let's go through the script. Page 52. First thing you want to do with your client is elicit their present behavior. So, you know, often with this one, you want to talk to them first about what the actual problem is in the first place. A bit like I just did then with Susan. It's just like, what's the behavior? What are you doing? And you start to get an idea of what the problem bit is, the problem part of that is. So then you can say, well, how do you know it's time to bite your nails, for example, in the book? And people will normally say to you, well, I don't know, or just do it. So you have to kind of slow it down and break it down for them bit by bit. So tell me how that process goes. How do you know it's time to bite your nails? And they go, oh, I don't know. Because it's so unconscious, you just have to go slow with them and ask them, all right? And they'll get to the point where normally they say, I feel a rough bit, or because most people don't know they're chewing their nails, it's unconscious. So getting before that point is a bit of a challenge sometimes. But 9 out of 10 times they find a snag. All right. So you will get to that point when they'll start to become aware of that. And then your question is, when you think of that behavior, do you have a picture? Okay. Remember, not can you make a picture? It's do you have a picture? So there will be an internal representation of that step where they're about to bite their nails. Okay. That's the bit we want to make sure, though, that we just hone in on to make sure it's just the bit before they do the behavior. Okay. So feeling a snag, not putting the hand in the mouth. Or seeing the cupboard door, not with your hand in the door. Okay. Or what I was trying to get another one. Hitting the snooze button on your phone as opposed to looking across and seeing the phone. Right, that's an important difference. But lots of people who snooze, they know that there's a choice between hitting it and not hitting it. And they usually hit the snooze button. First of all, you've got to look across and see the phone, right? So that's your point of no return. Then we can put in the new behavior. So number one, even though it's just a tiny bit of text there, actually, you're going to ask a few questions before then, just to kind of hone in on what the actual problem is, what the behavior is. So how do you know it's time to bite your nails? Talk me through the behavior, and let's get the right bit before you actually do the problem behavior. Okay, so that takes a bit of practice, bit of work.
May I ask you a couple of questions? Sorry.
Yeah, go for it.
2 questions. The first is, what if the patient, the person that doesn't have a picture but can make a picture?
They will always have a picture. Always, and you will be able to help them through just by slowing the whole process down for them.
Okay.
They will always have one, and they will always be able. I've never had someone who says, I don't know what it is. Because remember, it's associated, so that they have learnt the steps. They've learned to see that picture. They see it every time they do the behavior.
Mm-hmm.
When you slow it down enough, they'll notice what the problem bit is.
Okay, so it can happen that you take just longer to a picture, maybe.
Yeah, take your time over this one when you're working with people.
Yeah, I try to reckon something, but I don't have specific pictures of remembering the steps of something I do, while for me it's much easier to construct a picture. Yeah,
it will be easier, but that won't affect your behavior because it's not the picture that's actually doing the triggering. Yeah, so that's about getting aware of your unconscious processes, which is what we do with NLP as practitioners. Slowing it down enough so we recognize how that works for us, so that when we work with clients, we can help them with it too. But it's just, it's deeply unconscious. Some of the stuff people have been doing forever. And, we don't recognize the pictures until you slow it right down. And then in your mind, you will see those steps. You will see those moments.
Yeah.
We got a particular...
Yeah, perfect. And last question, sorry, is there always a specific movement associated to a picture? Like the picture of moving the hand towards the mouth for people biting their nails, and the actual movement of the hand?
There's not always movement. No, it's normally, it will be like a still picture. It could be as part of movement, but often it's, like I say, just seeing a cupboard door or seeing the front door, or if someone's checking their phone while they're driving, they look down and see the phone on the seat before they reach out for it. So it's often before actual movement. But that's if you have the movement in there, you're probably already doing the behavior. So you've missed the point of no return. When someone finds a snag on their finger, you could say that's movement, but it will be a still picture of their finger rubbing a snaggy bit on the other finger, if you like. So it'll be a still picture, but you could say that's movement. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Kind of. Have you got a particular behavior that you wish you didn't do?
No, actually, I was thinking of that because I want to try to, since I'm going to Italy tomorrow, actually overnight, I want to try to, probably not now because I don't really understand all the steps, but in the future, I want to try for one of my friends who smokes and bites her nails as well.
Right.
So there are these two behaviors. For me, yeah, definitely checking the phone. This is the worst I have, because I work with the phone, and so the thing is that I always check the phone. Even now, I've seen that there are with the tail of my eyes, I've seen that there were 2 messages from somebody. So I was just like that. So I didn't check, but just because voluntarily I decided not to check. Otherwise, I need to turn the phone. I didn't turn the phone in this, oh, sorry, light. I need to turn in this direction not to be too curious to go and check the phone.
Right, okay, yeah.
It's so bad, I hate it sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the thing is with the phones is you've got to realize what, if you're interacting with other people, what they might make that mean about you, you know, whether you're influencing them in the right way or an unhelpful way.
Yeah.
Because you know what it feels like, so you're with someone and they pick the phone up and they go, oh, I'm listening to you. Or they're on their laptop, tapping away and I'm listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not enough. So yeah, however that affects you, but if you know you want to change it, then yeah, it's slowing it right down and trying to figure it out, what's the bit where it goes wrong. Yeah.
Thanks.
Let me show you the rest of it, see how you get on, and can ask you any questions at the end. All right. How did I get to 2 minutes to 9 already? Right, okay. So that's the first bit, number 1, elicit the present behavior. I use the word, the point of no return. So it says, when you think of that behavior, do you have a picture? For me, that's going to be the point of no return, or otherwise known as the trigger picture. Okay. The trigger picture. Nice one. And now, because we're making all these images in our mind and we're looking at through the strategy, we want to make sure we have a nice break state. We definitely want to add that in. So highlight your break state. This one is, do you smell popcorn? As an example. You can use any one you like. You haven't got to use that one. We just need to make a different picture because we are literally playing around with pictures here. So look up and down, look out the window, you know, anything you like. Just make sure you do a break state there, okay? Now, number 3, it says elicit the desired state. And the way we do it's nice and easy. You just got to, well, I'll read the script out for you. How would you like to act instead? Consider an evolved version of yourself for whom that old behavior is simply no longer an issue. All right, so if you're a snoozer, it might be however you want that, not doing this behavior anymore, however you want that to affect you positively. You might see yourself at work, fully energized, wide awake, being really productive. Or you might see yourself in the gym or on holiday, anywhere you like, where you've got that kind of alertness. So the opposite of snoozing would be, I don't know, productive, alert, energized, you know, whatever, getting stuff done. Whatever that looks like for you, and any context you can think of. The important thing about this is we're going to see ourselves in the picture. So it's going to be dissociated picture. These are the crucial element to make a swish pattern work. Trigger picture is associated, seeing it through your own eyes. The desired state picture is dissociated, seeing yourself in the picture. All right, the script does help us do that. So let me just read that out again. How would you like to act instead? Consider an evolved version of yourself for whom that old behavior is simply no longer an issue. And when you think about that new self-image, do you have a picture? Okay. Now, for me, there was when I was getting annoyed with myself for biting my nails when I was doing trainings. I'd be in front of a room of people face to face, and I was pointing at bits in the manual and my nails didn't look very good, or I was holding my pens when I was talking and training. It just didn't look great. Actually, yeah, it was an issue for me. So that my new self-image, if you like, was seeing myself in a training room with a particular shirt at the time that I felt good in, at a particular venue as well, actually, where there was lots of sun coming through the window. So I could see Nick in the picture, stood in front of a group of people with a pen in his hand, smiling, confident, standing tall, in a nice environment. And the most important element of that picture was lovely nails, right? You could see them in the picture. Yeah, there's a big picture of me, but it's almost like a focus in on the nails as well. All right. So my brain needs to know that that's what I'm moving towards. Okay. Feeling all these lovely feelings too. Proud of myself, in control, standing assuredly, you know, enjoying the moment and all those lovely elements there. So I was a snaggy person. I'd find a snag and then I'd bite. That was my trigger picture. I could see my own hand when I looked down and see that snag. That was my first one. And then my new desired state was Nick in the picture, confident, wearing all the right colors. It was bright, energized, all the good stuff in there. So the next part of the script allows us to make sure we do that. So number 4, it says adjust the submodalities of the desired picture for the most positive kinesthetic, otherwise known as so it feels good. So I remember on the practitioner course, we always say if you want to make an image more impactful, make it bigger, brighter, and move it closer. And make it colorful if you can. And if you want to limit, oh, Wendy's got a pussycat in the way there. If you want to make a picture sort of diminished emotionally, you make it smaller, darker, and send it further away. Okay, so we're going to use that process to make this better. So number 4 says, what happens if you make it bigger? When you pause, allow them to do that in their mind, make it bigger. They'll often move backwards slightly with their physiology because it's like, and then what happens if you make it brighter? And give them a few seconds just to make that image brighter. And then what happens if you make it closer as well? So to bring that image close as well, it goes from maybe a small picture out here to a big one it makes you want to take a big breath in. And because you're seeing yourself in the picture, it's really compelling. You get a load of really nice feelings and you naturally want to move towards the photo or the picture. Okay. That's really important to do with your outcomes as well. Make them as big as you can, even wrap them around you a little bit so that you feel like you're in it, but you're moving towards that picture. It's a lovely thing to do for yourself. Okay. Now the next bit's important. Number 5. In my description a minute ago, I already saw myself in the picture because I know how to do this, right? But if you don't, normally what you do is you notice the new behavior that you want to have, and you can kind of see it through your own eyes to start with. Feel all the lovely feelings, make it big and bright. It depends. Some people do it naturally where they see themselves in the picture. Some people see it through their own eyes. So the next step is just to double check. If you haven't already, number 5 says, great, now step out of the picture so that you can see yourself in the picture. Okay, so that's just a double check. If they haven't already, step out of the picture so you're looking at a version of you having that experience. Okay. So then hopefully they've got this lovely image of the version of them, an ideal evolved version of themselves with the benefits of not doing the behavior anymore. It's big, it's bright, it's colorful, and it's compelling. It's emotionally compelling. All right. Good. Number 6, break state. Any questions up to now? Good. Now, essentially, you've done the hard work here because you figured out what the trigger picture is and you figured out what the new desired state is. Now we do is you imagine we've got you can close your eyes. Most people close their eyes doing this. Imagine they've got an imaginary screen up in front of them and we can start to put the pictures up so that we can do the swish. So number 6, break state. Number 7, now take the old picture, the trigger picture, right, and bring it up on an imaginary screen in front of you and make sure you're looking through your own eyes. Okay, so the trigger picture will always be associated, so we'll make sure that's there. And then number 8, we're going to put the desired picture in the lower left-hand corner. And what we need to say to them is, now, as the old picture is up on the screen, take your desired picture and shrink it down, put it in the lower left-hand corner, small and dark, but bursting with energy, seeing yourself in the picture. Okay. So I guess it would be a bit like if you've got your Zoom screen, you've got loads of pictures, but you can put one of the boxes down the left-hand side. It's like, that's where your picture's going to be, lower left-hand corner. And all that happen is that will get, you imagine you can expand that to fill the whole screen up. That's the way that's going to work. Let me just read that out again. Number 8. Now, as the old picture is up on the screen, take your desired picture, shrink it down, put it in the lower left-hand corner, small and dark, bursting with energy, seeing yourself in the picture. And then number 9, so they're kind of set up, ready to go. Old trigger picture up on the screen, the new desired state's fizzing away, full of energy in the bottom left-hand corner. And that's the point where the picture wants to go, wants to swish out. We only use the word swish because that just seems like the most effective word for it. And we're going to expand that little picture across the old screen, the old picture, and cover it up completely. So you need to prepare your client for that. Okay. And you say to them, well, we're going to prepare to swish. So you'll say to them, now in a moment, the small picture will expand. Oh, hang on a minute. We need to change our words here. For some reason, well, it just doesn't make sense to me to use words like explode and to, what's the other word? Obliterate. Because if someone's had a traumatic experience, those two words are not good. We don't want to go around triggering people. So I would say adjust it to number 9, saying, now in a moment, the small picture will expand big and bright across the screen, completely covering the old picture. And this will happen fast, as quickly as swish. Okay. I've worked with people who've been in the military and they've seen some horrible things, and those are not good words to use. So if you, just to cover your base, cover your ass, I wouldn't suggest you use those words. Unless somebody specifically says, you know, I'm all right with those words, but I wouldn't risk it. Seems like a silly risk to take to me. All right. So that's preparing them and telling them what they're going to do. And this, according to Bandler and a guy called Steve Andreas, who spent a lot of time developing this, he says you should do it really, really fast. Like put the trigger picture up on the screen, new desired state, fizzing away, full of energy in the bottom left-hand corner, ready to swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. Open your eyes, close your eyes, and keep going like that. He says that fast. He says your unconscious mind knows what you're doing. You don't have to get all conscious about it and see the pictures really clearly. We've done the setup work. 1, 2, 3, swish. Open your eyes is ideal. But for me, I think a lot of people like to spend at least a little bit of time the first time around just seeing the process happen properly. I think it makes sense for a lot, especially visual people. They really want to see what's going on. So just take your time to do the first one like that, and afterwards you can swish as fast as you like. And if you don't believe it, that it work that quickly, or then just practice it, because you'll see that it will. It does go real fast. And then you can swish 20 times in, I don't know, 2 minutes. And then you know you've nailed it. Pardon the pun, but nail biting. Okay. So number 10, nice and simple. It says, okay, swish. Now I like to say, okay, 1, 2, 3, swish, because it gives them a little bit more time just to think about it. So you might want to add that in. Okay, 1, 2, 3, swish. And your job as a coach, even if they've got their eyes closed, or even if you're on Zoom, or even if you're on the phone, you want to put a bit of energy into yourself and use your hands and your voice. So fizzing away, full of energy, bottom left-hand corner, 1, 2, 3, swish. And you bosh it out like that. And what they do with their eyes is they go, Normally they'll go, because they're doing the process in their head, they go 1, 2, 3, swish. And you'll see the eyes move up and the energy was there as well. And often take a breath. 1, 2, 3, swish. And they go like that. Most people do. So it's nice feedback for you as a coach to see them do that with their eyes. And you can help them by going swish. And you'd probably feel a bit daft doing it the first time around. Most people do, but that's all right. Changing unconscious behaviors. So don't worry about looking daft. It's people want the change. So, all right. So that's the first swish. Then we do number 11. We want to clear the screen, which is like a mini break state. And all you do is you say, open your eyes, clear the screen. I tend to do this. I just seems to help. Then it says, number 12, repeat steps 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11 until the old state or behavior is not accessible. So it's all right to repeat that maybe once or twice more. Because if you imagine, if you're repeating step 7, you're going to go right back through that whole setup procedure. And, people are not daft. Once they've got it once or twice, they know what they're doing. So if you keep saying to them, okay, now imagine there's an imaginary screen in front of you and make sure you go through the whole process again. They're like, after a while, they're going, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I get it. So you don't want to annoy people. So the first couple of times, run through steps 7 till 11. So they know what they're doing. And after that, they know the process. They've got the setup of the old picture and the new picture, and they're just ready to go. So from that point onwards, I just say, okay, get the old picture back up on the screen. The new desired state fizzing away, full of energy in the lower left-hand corner, ready to swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. Okay, I can say that again for you if you need me to. So yeah, I'll say that again. So I would say, once they've done it a couple of times, you don't want to run through all that stuff because they'll be annoyed. So, okay, ready, close your eyes. Have that old trigger picture back up on the screen and the new desired state fizzing away, full of energy in the lower left-hand corner. Give them a minute to do that. Ready to swish? Good. 1, 2, 3, swish. Okay. Otherwise, it can drive them crazy. If you've got rapport, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. And you should have rapport anyway. So it just saves a lot of time, a lot of hassle. And that this is, again, it's part of the art form. It's getting used to the process. They will give you the feedback when they don't need you to tell you that bit anymore anyway. All right. So number 13, once you've gone through that process, what happens is they won't be able to get the trigger picture up anymore properly. It will go grey, it will go faded. The submodalities will change. Therefore, the meaning changes of the picture and the process won't happen anymore. It stops running. Your unconscious mind will bounce into that problem and that won't run anymore. Then all of a sudden, a new lovely picture is reintroduced of you being a different version of you. But most people, as you swish 1, 2, 3, 4, how many times, it gets harder and harder for them to get that old picture back up anyway, which is always good feedback. Okay, as soon as they can't get it back, you can stop. All right.
Sorry, Nick. I don't mean. I don't know what you mean by like can't get it back. Is it like you ask them to access the old picture?
Yeah.
And they just can't imagine themselves being like in an associated state, being in that situation anymore.
That's it. That old point of no return picture will not be able to be accessible anymore.
Okay. So it's just like can't see myself doing that sort of thing.
Yeah, you won't see it anymore. It will be, for most people it kind of goes grey or fuzzy or loses structure, which is a really good sign as you start going through. And then by the time you've done, if you did 10, you won't be able to find it.
Does it ever occur that they try and get the old picture and what all they see is the new picture, like in the
Yeah.
way?
Yeah, that's an ideal scenario. Yeah. They try and find it, and all that pops up is that new desired state. Yeah, that's a lovely thing to do. But even if all you did was just blanked out that other picture, the behavior wouldn't run. You'd just end up in a bit of a void. So it's always nice to have that lovely one to move into. It's something you've got to kind of experience for yourself. So I always want you to do these NLP techniques on yourself, or get yourself a coach, because when you start to realize that's what happens, and you can confidently express that to your client when you're working with them. So the way we test, number 13, is when you think of the trigger or the point of no return picture, whatever word you want to use, what happens differently now? So we're just asking them what's different. And they'll probably say, oh, it's a bit darker, I can't see it anymore, or it's gone, or it's a bit grayer, whatever they say. It will have changed. If it hasn't, just keep going. Keep swishing, go back and check, see if you've missed any steps. Provided they're doing it in their mind, then you'll be all right. If someone's strongly visual, they'll be fine with this, no problem. If someone's really preference to AD, they're a little bit stuck in their head, then they might have to just talk themselves through and create the picture in their mind each time with a little bit of internal dialogue. Okay? Rarely happens, but if it does, then they can just talk themselves into each picture. Okay. So we don't need to say, well, how do you feel differently about the old behavior, or what will you do differently instead? We don't need to do that. As long as we know the picture doesn't run anymore, then we know we've done the job. And then it's about letting them go off and checking in with them the following day or the following week or whatever it might be. Okay. So there's quite a process to it when you start off, but when you start to really get used to it, it's pretty straightforward. It's just like anything, it's getting used to the process. And there's bits there to add in, like at the beginning, like I've said about. So it's practice. I guess the best thing to do is if we did, we've got 10 minutes before the end, if we did an identity upgrade for you lovely people, then you can get an idea of what it feels like to have a swish done on you. But we won't have to go through eliciting the trigger picture. That's the only thing. Maybe the next time we do a session, we'll have practice eliciting the trigger and practice actually doing the swish as well with each other. Yeah, it's not sort of thing you can teach and practice all in one 90-minute session, unfortunately. But we can do a identity level upgrade if you're up for it.
Well, can you do Susan and finish her?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to do it, Susan?
I want my chocolate habit gone.
Good idea, Wendy. Yeah, let's do that. All right. Let's do it. Let me get some paper ready. Okay. And I keep asking you, I don't want to get it wrong. Susan or Suzanne?
Susan.
Susan, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice one. All right, so let's run through the script. So, Susan, what we're working with, chocolate.
The cupboard.
What's that one?
I was just saying the cupboard, opening the cupboard.
Oh, yeah, the cupboard, yeah. But it's the actual, the poison is chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So how do you know that it's time to eat some chocolate? I know I've asked you this already, but.
So are we going back to opening the cupboard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's to do with the cupboard, opening the cupboard. It's right where I make a cup of tea, the cupboard.
Okay. Did the two come hand in hand, having a cup of tea and a bit of chocolate?
Sometimes, but not always. I can go to the cupboard without making a cup of tea, so it isn't associated to that, but
okay,
it's in the same area, so it can go with it.
Okay, good. So you just to run through it like we did before, it's you feel the need to have a bit of chocolate, you're tired, or you need a bit of energy. You know it's in the cupboard, you reach out for the cupboard, open the door, and it's there winking at you.
Yes.
Okay, good. So the point of no return then is it's, we want to get it before we open the door, but when you look at it, it's before you reach out even. It's so you would like note if the outcome would be you see the door and look away.
Yes.
Yeah. We need a trigger somewhere. But yeah, well, so when you think about seeing the door, do you get a picture?
Yes.
Good. Okay. What do you want to call that? It's not in the script, but I'd like to give it a name. What's the name of that picture? Door or?
Yeah, door.
Okay. Okay, good. So that's going to be our trigger picture. And you're seeing that through your own eyes, right?
Yes.
Good. Nice one. Okay. What's your favorite animal on land?
A horse.
A horse. Nice. I like it. Good. Okay. So how would you like to act instead, Susan? I'd like you to consider an evolved version of yourself for whom that issue is no longer a problem. That behavior is no longer an issue.
I just want to feel better in my body, so it's to do with weight loss, I suppose.
Okay. So can you imagine a situation anywhere in your life in the future where not doing that behavior has kind of benefited you?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you think of a context? Like a holiday?
Yeah, just go. I think it's going to be something like being on holiday, or just kind of being in swimwear.
Yeah. Great. Okay. So somewhere on holiday, yeah. Great. When you think about that new self-image,
mm-hmm.
Do you get a picture?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Perfect. At the moment, are you seeing it through your own eyes, or are you seeing yourself in the picture?
I'm seeing it through my own eyes.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, you want me to do that?
Stay there for a minute. So I don't know, close your eyes or keep your eyes open. It's up to you, whatever works best. What happens when you make that picture bigger? Does it feel better or worse?
Better.
Good. What about if you make it brighter? Try and make it brighter in your mind. Yeah. What happens if you bring that picture even a bit closer to you from a self-modality perspective?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. Now, what I'd like you to imagine you can do, if that feels good, make everything about that picture really positive for you. So you look the way you want to look. You're feeling like you've got everything you need from that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Okay. Now I'd like you to imagine that you can step out of that picture so that you can see yourself in the picture.
Yeah, I've done that.
Got it? All right. And just take a second to readjust that again now. So make sure it's all the right colors. You feel really good about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good. Good. All right. So that's going to be your desired state. Okay. Does that feel good when you think about it?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. What do you want to call that? We'll give that a name.
Swimsuit.
Great. Okay. Perfect. And just sometimes it helps if you have a name for them, just to remind you of what's what. All right. Good. What did you have for breakfast this morning?
Porridge.
Okay, nice. With bananas or just by itself?
I had strawberries in it.
Strawberries? Oh, posh. Good, okay, nice one. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to imagine there's an imaginary screen in front of us. So if you want to close your eyes for me, I'd like you to imagine there's an imaginary screen up in front of you. And let me just stick to the script. Take that old picture of the door and bring that up in front of you on the screen. Make sure you're looking through your own eyes for that one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, good. Now, as that old picture is up on the screen, I'd like you to take your desired picture, the swimsuit, and shrink it down into the lower left-hand corner of that screen, but make it small and dark, bursting with energy, seeing yourself in the picture. Can you do that? Mm-hmm. You there already? Good, okay. So far we've got the old picture back up on the screen. You can see all of that. And in the lower left-hand corner, you've got that new trigger picture, desired state picture, sorry. Yeah, good, okay. Nice one. Now, in a moment, that small picture will expand big and bright across the screen, completely covering up that old picture, okay? And it will happen as fast as swish. All right. So, are you ready?
Yeah.
Good. 1, 2, 3, swish. Expand that picture big and bright, completely covering up that old picture. That's it. Breathe it in if you need to. Good. And when you can see that up on the screen, open your eyes and come back to me. How was that?
It's fine. I don't always have clear pictures.
That's okay. Not many people see it.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just going to say that's not tonight. That is in general. I don't always see it, you know, every bit of detail.
That's fine. As long as you get an idea of what's happening, yeah. Your unconscious mind's doing all the work. Clearer the better, but that's fine. It will still work. All right, good. Did I go too fast or too slow, or is anything? It's all right?
No, fine.
Good, good, good. So all we're going to do now then, we've done that once. We're going to do it 6 times. See how that goes. Okay. So that's once. All right. So great. Eyes closed. Have that imaginary screen back up in front of you. And I'd like you to put the old trigger picture back up on the screen again. Good. You're already there. Seeing yourself in the picture. And have that new desired state shrunk down into the left-hand corner, fizzing away, full of energy, ready to expand across the screen. Okay, good. Are you ready? Swish. 1, 2, 3, swish. Have that new picture expand across the screen, completely covering that old picture. Yeah, that's it. And when you've got it, open your eyes and come back to me. You all right? What happened then?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yes.
Something happened.
I couldn't see the door or something yet, but
oh, good.
And I know it's there on the door, so.
Okay, it's changed a bit already. Yeah.
It's just duller. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. It's not as
good.
My kitchen cupboard's white, so.
It's got a bit grey, or is it changing?
Yes.
Good. Oh no, what a shame. All right, good. Nice one. So we're going to go again. That's twice. All right, so when you're ready, close your eyes. Lovely. And have that old trigger picture as best you can back up on the screen again. Try in vain to get that old picture back up on the screen. And then have that new desired picture in the shrunk down the left-hand corner, lower left-hand corner. Yeah. You give me a nod each time you do each of those steps, so I know not to go too quick. Yeah. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ready to swish? 1, 2, 3, swish. Expand that picture, big and bright, completely covering that old picture. And when you're ready, open your eyes. Good. Nice one. If it helps when you do it, when you do the swish, do you feel that urge to breathe in? You feel it?
I'm breathing in.
Yeah, good. Yeah, breathe it in. If it's difficult to see sometimes on Zoom, but yeah, as much as you can breathe in, it really helps. All right, so that's three to go. Is it all going all right so far?
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
I'll tell you if it will.
Okay. All right, so again, old trigger picture back up on the screen. New desired state, fizzing away, full of energy in the lower left-hand corner. Ready to swish?
Mhm.
1, 2, 3, swish. Expand that picture, big and bright. That's it. Good. Perfect. Completely covering that old picture. When you're ready, come back to me. All right. Good job. All right, nice one. 2 more times. Close your eyes. Old trigger picture back up on the screen as best you can. It's harder and harder to get back every time. New desired state, fizzing away, full of energy in the lower left-hand corner. Ready to swish?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, swish. Expand that picture. Good. Big and bright, completely covering that old picture. Good. When you're ready, come back to me. Nice one. Doing great. One more. How badly do you want to get rid of this chocolate issue? Should we do 10 altogether while we're here? So
Right.
5 more. Yeah. Do a proper job. Like to do a proper job. All right. So try as best you can to get that old trigger picture back up. It's harder each time, isn't it? Good.
Really dull.
Yeah, good. Okay. And then have the new desired state in the lower left-hand corner, fizzing away full of energy, the new you.
Mhm.
Great. Ready to swish? 1, 2, 3, swish. Expand that picture. That's it. Breathe in. Good. Clearer and clearer, more and more powerful. Good. Awesome. Are you ready? Open your eyes. Nice one. You tell me if you want to go a bit faster.
Just go as fast as you want.
Good. Okay. Great. Don't say that.
Just fast.
All right. So eyes closed. Good. Old trigger picture back up on the screen. New desired state, fizzing away, full of energy in the bottom corner. Ready to swish? 1, 2, 3, swish. Expand it. That's it. Good. Okay, open your eyes. Good job. Close your eyes. Old trigger back up on the screen. New desired state in the lower left-hand corner. Ready to swish? 1, 2, 3, swish. Expand it. That's it. Perfect. Open your eyes. Good. Close your eyes. Good. Old trigger picture back up on the screen. If you can, harder now, isn't it?
Smaller.
Good. New desired state, lower left-hand corner. Ready to swish?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, swish. Big and bright. That's it. Completely covering that whole picture. Good. Yeah. Open your eyes. Nice one. Okay, last one. Good. You're right with that speed?
Yep.
Good. Amazing. Well done. All right. Old trigger picture back up on the screen, best you can. New desired state, lower left-hand corner. Ready to swish? Let's make it a good one. 1, 2, 3, swish. Big and bright, completely covering that old picture. And open your eyes. Okay. Top job. All right.
Yeah.
Now, what's your favorite type of takeaway? I think I might have asked you this one before.
Pizza, maybe pizza.
Nice. Okay, good. All right, so nice and simple. When you think about that old trigger picture, How does it feel different? How is it different now?
So the image is for me like quite far away, so, and it's darker, so it's not as bright or clear or big maybe as it was.
Great. And you felt that bit by bit that got harder to get back, right?
Yeah, it was almost like it was going further and further away. Like the screen was still there, but I felt like I couldn't see it as close as it was. So
Right.
each time I did it, it was going further away.
Okay. Amazing. Well, you did a great job. And, you know, like I said, we don't need to do future pacing or anything like that. We just assume that the picture isn't accessible anymore. So then you'll make choices that are going to move you towards that new desired state. Okay. Any questions?
The only question I've got is, what if I need to go in that cupboard for the kids?
Okay, so we have a like an ecology question.
Maybe I just need to say to them, just go in yourself.
Well, it might be that you've got to shift some things around to back up your behavior, but it won't stop you. Let's think about it. Let's think about it. Well,
Are you usually triggered when you go to get the things for the kids?
Not.
Good question. The feeling might not be there every time. Yeah.
No, maybe not as much. I think it's when I'm on my own. It's like a reward.
Yeah. Give you a bit of energy.
Yeah. Or just when I'm being mithered, I'm like, I just want a minute.
Well, I would suggest try it. If there's any problems, then give me a shout and I'll swish you in a different direction. Okay.
I might just need to empty the cupboard.
Well, that's the tricky thing, is it? One of the best rules around dieting, not that, well, there's lots of different ways of looking at that now, but one of the best rules is to not have it in the house in the first place, obviously, but it's not very appropriate when you've got kids and you have snacks for them, and other people in the house might want to eat chocolate with no problems.
Yeah, I want to be able to make a decision. I want to be able to make a decision that not to do it, not just, you know, when I've then got access to it, I'm then going to eat it. I'd rather it just be like.
Hopefully you might find, because at the moment, you know, you've just done it, hopefully you might find that you've worked on the trigger that was the impulse for you to have the chocolate, not to go to the cupboard, because the cupboard wasn't particularly attractive on its own, unless you like sort of eating chunks of wood, which some people do, you know. But, you know, I think it was the chocolate. So hopefully with the process, you were thinking, you know, about the chocolate, and hopefully when you next go to the cupboard, you won't fancy it as much.
Yeah.
You'll see, you know, and you'll be seeing the other objects or the other products that are in the cupboard more than you usually do. You usually hone in on the chocolate. Hope next time it'll be, I don't know, baked beans. Then you might be eating too many baked beans or something.
Thinking about it, either way, what'll happen is you'll see the door, and then you'll get positive feelings about your self-image. Either way, so you'll be fine, I think. But check in with me in a few days.
I will.
I think you'll be fine.
I also did EFT, so I might just tap on it as well.
Yeah, well, the great thing of NLP is wonderful, because you can just stop yourself from doing stuff, but you also need a bit of willpower anyway to keep moving in the right direction. But you don't have to have it. If you get the tools right, you don't need willpower. That's what NLP is all about. You deal with the unconscious process, so you don't have to consciously think about it. So see how it goes. I'd always check in with my clients after a few days anyway, once we've done a swish, or see if it's correct or it needs adjusting, or we want to do something else with it, you know, like a like to dislike or anything else. So, but that was a really good example. Someone pretty visual, able to do the process pretty quickly. And we sped up nicely towards the end, and you were able to cope with that, which is good. And then bosh, 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 it really sped up towards the end, and those last 5 were quick. So good. All right. So yeah, the proof is in the behavior. Remember we say in the presuppositions, the most important and reliable information about a person is their behavior. Right? So see how it goes and let us know.
So just one question I've got, because obviously you said 6 and then you went to 10. So do you find that doing it 10, if you've got the time to be able to do that with a client, that you would try and do 10 swishes?
Yeah, according to Steve Andreas, he says 6 is enough. But, you know, you're working with, I mean, if someone's highly visual, 6 will be enough. But if you're not always working with someone with a high preference to visual, then they might need to have a bit longer or a few more swishes just to make sure that it's done. They don't need to be consciously convinced. That the unconscious mind needs the one needs convincing. But I tend to do it, if I really want something to stick for myself, I'll do 20. Just to be super, super sure. But 10 is enough. And all that we need to know is, can they get the old picture back up or not? If that's good enough. Some people have done it on 3. 3 is enough because they can't get the old picture back. Other times it's 6. Other times I felt like doing 10. I kind of just check in, see how they're getting on and go from there. But if I'm really doing it for myself and I really want to make it stick, I'll do 20.
So that's the key question, is it? Can you still see the old image? And if they say no, then you feel like then you've done enough.
That's it. You can stop. Yeah,
right, that's fine.
If that's 3, then good job. If you really want to convince them or convince yourself, then do more. But that's the test. Yeah. Yeah. So this one, it's all about, and thank you for being the demo subject, Susan. I really appreciate that. It was really nice one. Really good job. We're all rooting for you for some change. And obviously, if we take away a behavior or something that's going to, you're looking to get some more energy, then it's always nice to have some backup ways of trying to figure out what you need to do to get more energy in a more useful way for you. But it's also often, you know, when most people, when certainly for me, if I'm tired, I tend to go for food. Doesn't really work, does it? So remembering that, trying other things, and often that's going to bed a little bit earlier. You know, half an hour every night through the week might be enough to counteract wanting some unhelpful food sometimes. So we always want to kind of back ourselves up a little bit with, if we're taking away something that's going to help us meet our needs, which might be certainty. If you need a bit more energy, then let's have a think about some other ways that's going to help us get that anyway, in a more useful way.
Where do you think food comes in the whole love and connection certainty is significant? Is there
all of them?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's why it's a problem. Yeah, love and belonging because you give yourself a nice little treat, a bit of self-nurturing. Significance because it's like, I'm going to have a treat because I deserve it. Right. And then certainty is like, I need something to make me feel like I can get through the day sometimes.
I think that might be mine.
Yeah, it meets our needs on a high level. That's why it can be a bit of an issue for people, you know.
Yeah, I think it's that third one for me.
But a lot of the time, it's with food, it's tiredness. If you check out your sleep hygiene and figure that one out, do what you need to do to improve your sleep. Those sorts of things just don't happen anymore. And then make sure you're fully hydrated. You drink more than you think you need to counteract that, and you'll be all right probably. The food isn't the problem. The tiredness often, or they're not getting enough time for yourself, or not feeling you get significant somewhere else. Maybe if you're getting all those things topped up elsewhere, then food becomes less of a avenue to go down. Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, it's so right, because I was just going to say it's the sleep thing. When you've got young kids and your sleep's disrupted, you know, you can't change that, can you? Yeah. That's where it's kind of got worse for me, is the sleep's been disrupted so much. It's just almost become a habit that's what's going to make me feel better at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I'm shattered.
Yeah, that's it. And those times a day you have a natural dip anyway. Yeah. So the other day, I was absolutely knackered and I was in the shower trying to prepare for Sunday's training. I was like a zombie, and I set myself a resourceful anchor of Energize. Let's see if it works. Is that one? Yeah, so yeah, use your anchors, right? Have some ready to go so that you can counteract those moments as well. Even when I was like flat on the ground, exhausted, I was able to run around in the shower quick enough to get myself in a bit of a state, anchor that in there, and that kept me just about on top of it through the day. So in the moment where you feel like a craving for something, fire off your anchors and have them do the job for you. It's enough to just momentum yourself beyond that choice, potential choice. But that context, that situation shouldn't come up anymore for you anyway.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to do that.
Yeah, use your resource anchors. Yeah. And if you need to collapse anchors around food as well, you might need to collapse anchors on how you feel about certain things, or use your like to dislike technique or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is, you know, for everyone. Yeah, it's an issue, you know, and food is quite normal for a lot of people to go to, and a lot of us have picked up more habits because of this whole situation we've just been through. So go easy on yourself. It could be worse, right? Could be doing all sorts of other unhelpful behaviours that are really unhelpful. So
Nick, can I ask a quick question?
yeah.
Can we do this on ourselves?
Yeah.
Is it effective though, or is it better to kind of do it with a partner? Or
I'd highly encourage you to do it on yourself.
okay.
Yeah, definitely, so that you can get used to it and understanding new nuances of it, and it will speed up you'll make you a better coach. It will speed up the process for you, and you get to know yourself a lot better as well.
By recording it, do you think, and then doing it on yourself?
Yeah, you can record it, or just keep opening your eyes and looking at each bit of the script as you go.
Oh, right, so you can do it that way as well.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's up to you. Yeah, however you want to do it. It's always nice to have someone else help you through, absolutely, but you can do it all by yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, but would you then go through steps 7 through 11 every time, or is it just, you know, I need this image and this image, then a swish without the script?
You once you get an idea of just what the steps are, then you'll be able to. You don't need to go through those whole steps for yourself as well. Yeah. And that's another good reason to do it for yourself enough times, because then you recognize what point it might get frustrating for your client, and how quickly you can recognize what you need to do, what the steps are as well. Yeah, good question though. Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, may I ask you another one, please? Well, firstly, sorry, I said Nick Reed instead of Nick Reed-Robbins. I don't know what that was about. Sorry, it's been a long day. But the other thing is, I've never done a vision board, and it hasn't really been my thing. But I was thinking about sort of some of the bigger outcomes, and I was just thinking I might try it, but I wasn't sure what your thoughts are on that. Because part of me, it's a bit ridiculous. Part of me feels as though I might accidentally sort of rub out kind of what's in my mind. I don't know, is it a better idea to stick with what's in your head than to actually try and sort of get sort of pictures, real pictures that aren't necessarily the same?
I would suggest if you're trying to replicate a vision board NLP style, then golden timeline is the one to use. But if you want to swish in specific things, have you got something in mind that you're thinking of?
No. I mean, it's just, I was really thinking of actually sort of looking for pictures, and I mean, I don't know, it's a bit kind of LA, isn't it? I was thinking of sort of just actually putting pictures up, but that's probably just a lazy reference. Instead of me actually doing the work of looking at my notes or even just remembering, I thought if I have something there, but then part of me feels that's not going to be as authentic as what's in my head. So maybe just stick with, I think it was not, I think I've kind of talked myself out of it, actually.
I'm with you. Yeah, you want your own version of reality.
Yeah.
What we have in our house is when you open the cupboard doors, you see these self-drawn pictures of what our outcomes look like for us.
Okay.
So we do our own 5-year-old versions of drawings.
Yeah, but that's.
And then we have our image that comes along with that. So
yeah, cool.
They're nice to pop up. For me, if I've got something around me all the time in front of the wall, it becomes invisible. It fades away, and I don't.
Yes. Yeah. See, and that's Thank you. That's what I thought. Yeah.
You know, kitchen cabinets or fridge or bathroom cabinets or somewhere, or in your car somewhere, where your version of it in a picture comes out. You can put color into that if you wanted to, but we just have some really basic ones, and then it's like, oh yeah, awesome, and it's quite inspiring that way around. That's the way we do it. But if you wanted to put beautiful pictures up all over the place, then do it.
No, not really. It was an idea, but I think, thank you. I think, I'm glad I asked you. I think I'd rather I'll just go back to the old process and just visualize it properly and maybe say it out loud to myself, because I think that's
right. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, vision boards do work for a lot of people, but also for a lot of people, it becomes invisible because it's there all the time. It's part of the, what do you call it, furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometimes,
Thank you.
sometimes, Amy, though, the process of going through creating it is really beneficial. So even though you might get to a point where you're sick of seeing it, you can actually get a lot from what do you want, you know, what's kind of important for you, what's your outcomes. Like you might have a few different things. You might be feeling like you don't know, and actually that's a good place to start. And then using the tools can come off the back of you know, creating it. So even if it's just a case of, you know, I want to invite more meditation or yoga or, you know, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Kind of include that on your board, but then you might need to do some swish to, you know, get you up a bit earlier or, you know, whatever it might be.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the images already. I think I was just looking for a lazy shortcut to not having to actually think about them, which is actually stupid because then it won't have the right impulse anyway. So
Right, so remember,
thank you both. That's
the
fine.
energy that's important as far as the universe is concerned. It's the energy you put into it. So it's not just thinking about it; it's feeling it. And what I do is I write them down. I record it. I write it down in detail. Then I record it, and I feel how good it will feel to have that, living it in that experience. Write as much detail as I can, and I play that back to myself through my phone as often as I can.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'm going to write it down.
Get more detail.
I'm going to write it down. I've also already got sort of an anchor for it, which I can do. So I think I'm just, it's I just realised it's just an old habit that's coming up of trying to take a shortcut, which actually for this is not going to be the right idea.
But that's one thing you don't want to shortcut.
No, I really don't.
Yeah, nice one. Good
Thank you.
questions. This is really important stuff because that you are creating your future all the time by your thoughts. So you want to get them right, you know, because how you're thinking now will really make a big impact on what's really happening in your life in 6 months, 2 years time. So get it right. Yeah.